Hiya, I'm Unknown, and today we're going to be talking about map making in RimWorld. Today, we're going to be covering the basics of editing stones to make mountains, spawning mountain roofs, refogging the map, and editing terrain such as soil and water. This is a basic overview to help you understand a little bit more about map making. To start off with, when we're in our map, we're going to go up to our Dev Options menu, and we're going to go ahead and turn on our Dev palette. This is the second one to the last, and it just basically allows us to have easy access to all of our commands. Afterwards, we're going to go to the Dev Actions menu, the third from the left, and we're going to click on it. This pulls up the full Dev menu with a lot of the actions you can do to edit the map. To edit mountains, we're going to do a couple of different tools to help us. For starters, I highly recommend the Mod Vanilla Expanded Framework, as it allows you to have access to this KCSG mod set, or DevTool commands, which really helps with a lot of stuff, specifically this Spawn Rocks rectangle command. If we go ahead and click the check next to it, that goes ahead and saves it to our palette. Alternatively, if you're not using that, you can instead use the spawn thing tool, as that'll allow you to spawn different rocks as well, but it'll be individual. I don't recommend the make rock command in the map section, as it only selects one rock and it's really hard to use. We'll additionally go ahead and use the edit roof command over here in our general section, as well as the fog rectangle command. Lastly, in the map section, we're going to go to set terrain, and we're going to save that one as well. Now, if we click back into our world, we can go ahead and see that they have been saved to our dev palette up in the top left. Now, with me using the Vanilla Expanded Framework, we're going to go ahead and access Spawn Rocks, and it'll go ahead and pull up a drop bar of all the different things we can spawn, including the base game rocks, as well as all of the ores. Additionally, if you have any mods in here, such as Alpha Biomes, where it adds different rocks and ores, it'll show up in here as well. That's one benefit of it. So we're going to go ahead and we'll go ahead and grab some marble. I personally love working with marble, and it's a fun thing to do. We can see that on our bar, it lists as marble first corner. So what we're going to do is we're going to click one section, and we get this whole dialog square, and then we can see that we can click our second corner. So let's go ahead and select it right about here. As you can see, that instantly spawns it in. Additionally, we can go up here and we can just kind of work our way around, and we're going to make just a random shape. A good thing about map making is it allows you to have these custom unique shapes so they can better work with your playthrough, as well as add some uniqueness. A lot of this stuff is machine generated all throughout it, where you have the game just kind of gets a little bit repetitive after a while. So let's go ahead and let's just round out this shape to make it a little bit more interesting. Now that we're back in, we can see that we've already gone ahead and made our shape. Now, if you worry that you've placed something and you don't know how to get rid of it, it's pretty easy. We have some tools available for us. So say you accidentally placed another square over here, we can go back into our Dev Actions menu, and if you look down here, we'll be able to find Destroy. Additionally, we'll be able to find Clear Area. The benefit of these is that they allow you to both destroy things that exist in the world. You can delete rocks, you can delete ores, ponds, anything available. A benefit is Clear Area also deletes roofs. I'm going to go ahead and grab Clear Area as well, as it does a rectangle. Now that we're back in, we're just going to go ahead and click both sides, and we can destroy it. One problem is, whenever you delete these rocks, it will spawn the rough hewn, like how you mine it out in game, so we can go ahead and work about that in just a moment. We'll go back to our little command area over here, and we're going to go ahead and make it a little bit interesting by adding some ores. You can do that again in the Spawn Rocks command. So let's go ahead and add a couple of different steel and mineable components. Now that we've gone ahead and added all of our stuff to that, one thing we're going to do is we're going to work on the overhead mountain. Now, you don't actually have to add mountains for all your rocks, such as boulders and everything, but if you want this to be an overhead mountain that you can mine into and have the protection from drop pods, we can go up to our commands, and we're going to grab the Edit Roof command. In here, we see a list of everything that's available, so of course Clear is for clearing out any roofs that exist, Constructed Roof is such as the roofs that your pawns will make, and then we have Rock Roof Thin and Overhead Mountain. We're going to go ahead and save Rock Roof Thin and Overhead Mountain. Now, when using these, we want to look about the basics of this. So one thing we do is, when you go to your overhead mountain, you want this to be in the kind of center of your mountain. That's want to be in like the deeper sections. Your rock roof, on the other hand, will be kind of in the outward sections. You can see when I place it, you can't actually see it, but if we go down to our tools and we can go to the Edit Roofs or Visibility of Roofs section, we can see that the overhead mountain shows up as a dark green, while the rock roof is a very light green. So let's go ahead and add this all over, giving the little internal section of that overhead mountain and then the outer rock roof. Now that we've gone ahead and added our overhead, we can go back to toggling off that edit roof visibility, and you can see that we have that kind of overhead mountain there. Now, what we want to do is we really want to refog this area. Now, there are a couple tools that we can use this. As I said, we can use the fog rectangle tool. What this does is it goes ahead and just hides a lot of that stuff. That gives you this little outline, this kind of, I always thought it was granite colored. We can hide away a lot of this, but we don't actually have to just use this. One thing we can do is we can go back in our debug menu. And what we can see is down in the map section, we have two tools we want to use. There's the clear all fog button, and then there's the ReFog Map. Now, one thing that this does, clear all fog removes all that fog. So if I go ahead and spawn in some fog, oh, we don't know where anything is, we can just clear all that out. Additionally, is we can use the ReFog Map tool. Now, what this is going to do is refog the entire map that your pawns can't see. And we're going to see something fun happen. As you can see, my entire map is completely fogged, but that's because I don't have any colonists on the map. So I'm going to go up to our tools. We can do spawn pawn, spawn colonist, and I'm just going to drop them over here. And fur has now spawned, so now the map is properly discovered except for everything hitting in the stone. With that, let's go ahead and work on our next stage of map making. As you can see, we have this kind of terrain built in. We know a lot of vanilla terrain has this kind of rough section outside the map, similar to this, outside of all the rocks, and we also have gravel. So what we're going to do is, we're going to clear up our bar real quick, and we're going to go to our set terrain function. All this is all of that kind of walkable area we can set. So we're going to grab two things. I'm going to look up marble, and I'm going to go for marble rough. And then additionally, I'm going to go and grab some gravel. I'll also go ahead and grab some soil as well. So with these, you can just place them down and they'll be able to edit the terrain. So if I go for this marble rough, and again, this is using this kind of square function, we can just place it all around here, filling in that area just outside. Although the base game, it kind of varies where it places this, but I like to do about a 2 to 3 deep layer outside. So let's go ahead and let's work around the whole entire thing. Now that we've gone ahead and made all of that rough, we can go ahead and do all the gravel. All the gravel is just kind of an outside layer between the dirt and the actual rough marble. One thing to note is that it's kind of hard to see the gravel due to the texture and the terrain difference. What we can do is go down into our fertility map, and we can see the difference. All of the rough marble doesn't have fertility, so it just shows the basic texture, while all of the soil shows up as green because it has 100% fertility. Gravel, on the other hand, only has 70%, so it shows up as this yellow. This allows us to easily place this, and we can tell where we put it in the entire map. Now that we have finished that, we can turn off our fertility overlay, and we can see we have a nice mountain already made. We can also go ahead and remove all this by using just the set terrain soil function. With that, we have a nice, wonderful mountain made that is perfectly textured. We can go ahead and assign fur to go ahead and start mining in this. So we go to Architect and go to Orders, and if we tell her to go mining through this, she'll be able to mine through it. Well, she's not assigned to mining, but normally a colonist would be able to mine through it. Why can't you mine? She's just not assigned to it. Okay. Well, with that, you're able to have this perfectly thing that you can use to your map. Additionally, we have noticed that there isn't really much fertility on this, and we can edit that as well. As we know that the gravel only has 30% fertility, and the soil has 100%, we also have access to rich soil. So if we look up in our set terrain function and find soil rich, we can save that, and we can place some rich soil patches. That all laid out, we have a nice, beautiful map already made, and we're going to work on one more thing, or really two more things. First, we're going to start with our set terrain function again, and what we're going to work on is editing water. So if we go to set terrain and just look up water, we have all these different options available. For starters, water deep and water shallow are your freshwater waters that are stagnant, so these are your lakes and your ponds. We also have water ocean deep and water ocean shallow, which are all of our salt waters. And then we have water moving chest deep and water moving shallow. And what we want to work on is just going ahead and let's place kind of a we got some muffalo coming in. We're gonna make a kind of nice lake over here. If you're working with, say, Odyssey and you have fishing available, you can use this as a nice little food source. One thing I like to do is I always like to make these weird kind of lakes, sometimes adding an island in the middle of them. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna smooth it off to have this kind of interesting edge, making a better coast. So let's go ahead and work on that. Now that we've gone ahead and added that, we're also gonna go to our water deep function, and let's add a couple of deep parts of the water. Now that we have that all set up, additionally one thing we can do is go ahead and spawn in some mud, which of course we're gonna use the set terrain function for. And let's go ahead and just place this a couple different times on the bar to make it a little bit interesting, almost like we have some mud deposits. Alright, with that all done, one thing you've noticed is the map is completely without plants. I wanted to go ahead and include this in this video just to make it a little bit easier. You can destroy all plants and spawn all plants with dev tools. So if we go back into our dev menu, when in our main actions, we can go to more debug actions and click show more actions. In here, you can find a list of extra things available, but specifically at the top, there's destroy all plants. This goes ahead and removes all plants that are already in the map. Of course, I only had a few plants that were spawning in here, but it went ahead and removed that. Now we can go back into our map actions menu, and in our map section, we can see this little fun one called use GenStep. All GenStep is a part of the design process whenever you're making the map. In here, we can go ahead and find the GenStep Plants button, and this will spawn plants all throughout the map. It is a little bit of a laggy one, sometimes with larger sizes it can take a minute, but with that you can see our entire map is already rewilded. Now with that, you have a wonderful map and the tools to create your own custom maps or make changes to existing maps. It's a really fun thing, and I hope you have a wonderful time experiencing with it. Map making is a wonderful part of RimWorld and it allows you to have a little bit more unique maps. With that all done, I hope you have a good understanding of this, of changing the terrain, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out in the comments below. Of course, stay good, be happy, and then always stay unknown.